Well, hello, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Monday, September the 11th, 2023. Monday, September the 11th. Well, we have Sharon. Oh, she's trying to convince Nick to come and work with her. Now before Sharon got there, Sally was saying, do you really want to go back to Newman, back to that whole vicious cycle? She's pretty much let them know, just walk away, because Nick is like, I don't want to have to go to work and deal with Nate and Victoria every day. I do not trust that guy. And that's not a good environment for him, right? So she's like, well, then don't go back. But then with Sharon's all talking about, Nick, we have always worked so well together and this and that. And Sally's like, yeah, but you know what? He has to, don't rush into it, Nick, because that is a big decision. Not going back to your father, the family. Oh, she then was doing a 180. Because she's thinking, like, look, these two looking pretty chummy, right? Now, mind you, Sharon and Nick's son is older than Sally. Oops. So they really were kind of talking like the child at the table. They weren't even talking to her, which this wasn't about her, right? And then she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have even said anything. And Nick's like, no, I value your opinion. So Sharon's like, you know what? I should let you two talk. I should let you two, I'm sure you've got some things to discuss. So Sharon goes to Mariah, right? Now, Mariah is, oh, goodness gracious, just obsessing over her child not being able to hear, completely obsessing over it. Sharon is trying to let her know, don't go to the worst case scenario. You don't know things yet, right? Just kind of wait, but have an optimistic view. You're going to do whatever it takes and blah, blah, blah. Finally, Mariah, you're right. You're right. She says that every time. After people spend an hour consoling her, you're right. You're right. I fast forwarded most of that conversation, right? So, what was interesting to me was the Adam and Victor conversation. Adam was real, not sugarcoating things to his father, but in ultimately accepting responsibility. Said, I know I caused this. I know I did. Even though things are snatched away from me constantly, I mean, he still flipped into himself enough that his father believed him, right? And he goes, Dad, look, I'm willing to start at the bottom. And Victor said, wait, what? Sure. Oh, so you'd be okay with getting coffee. And he goes, not at the bottom, not at that bottom, Dad, but at the bottom of where, someone new just breaking in, like an intern, at the someone new learning. He goes, I realize I've never really learned all of the aspects of Newman. I've just wanted to run it, which, let's face it, how many times has he sat in Victor's seat as interim CEO? Enough, right? Enough that he really shouldn't even be starting at the bottom. But when he said that to Victor, Victor's sitting back and he's looking at him. He says, I don't know whether to believe you or or what's going on. He goes, Dad, look, what else do I have to lose? I'm out the family. I'm out the family business. I'm here saying, I know I caused this on myself. I have already tried to made amends with Sharon, trying to make amends with Nick, trying to make amends with you. And I do want to be a part of this family. So Victor just looked at him and he said, son, you don't know, you just don't know how hard this is on me. You don't know. But what if what you're saying, I really hope you mean it, son. Because he's kind of like, because I can't, I'm at, this is the end of the rope, right? And if you screw me this time, there's no more rope, right? And he's just looking at him, and I thought, Adam's suckering him in. So he goes, you know what? I've got a lot to think about. And he says, you know, I'm gonna leave. Because he came to him and Adam says, oh, you coming to gloat? You coming to, he goes, no. I'm coming as your father to see how his son is doing. That's what I'm coming as. You know? So it was a pretty decent scene, if you ask me. It truly, truly was, you know. And then I was thinking, you know, through all of this, goodness, does Phyllis have a job? We haven't seen or heard from her in a minute, right? So now here we go. Let's see. Nikki is talking to Nate. Nikki is something else. Nikki is not pulling punches on is not holding back punches on anybody. I'm looking at this woman saying, go Nikki. And where were you for years? Because see, we needed this kind of blatant speech, right? Calling those spades a spade. So she tells Nate, you know, Nicholas is still considering his position here, because Nate's trying to say, you know, I want to make sure, you know, that I'm doing the best, and you know, Newman, the success of Newman is what's the most important to me, and blah blah blah. And so Nikki says, really? Okay. Well, if you mean that, you need to voluntarily resign before Victor asked you to. Because remember, she brought it up. I think Nate should resign so Nicholas could feel comfortable coming back. And Victoria looked at her like, what? Huh? Right? And she looks at her mother and she walks out behind Victor. Well, Nikki says, look, if you truly, truly want the success of Newman, see, Nicholas doesn't trust you. And pretty much neither do I. So resign so he will feel comfortable taking the CEO position. And Nate said, like, wait, huh? He says, the only way I will do that is if Victoria feels that that's what's best for the company. So Nikki looks at him and says, yeah, I figured that would be your answer. Thought you'd say that. So, and he's just looking at her like, goodness, Nikki, I've been doing a good job here, right? So Victoria and Victor come back in, and Victor says, oh, so, you know, what's going on here? What's happening here? And Nikki says, well, I was just telling Nate that he should voluntarily resign again. You know, we were talking about him voluntarily stepping down, not resign, stepping down, right? Or resigning from the position. And Victor looks at Nikki. Nikki's like, yep. Victoria's like, not this again, right? And just as no one had an opportunity or anybody had an opportunity to respond, Nick comes in. I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you're all here because I have something that's going to affect all of our lives. I have something to say that's going to affect all of our lives. And then they go to commercial break and come back. And he says, I've decided not to return to Newman. I'm going to go over to Kirsten Unlimited and I'm going to help Sharon build that company. And that's where they leave it. Okay. So now what's Victor going to do? Okay. Okay. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what goes on. You know, overall, things are moving to me kind of slow. They really are. Today was definitely a slow day, but Nicholas made his decision, made the announcement, and now everybody gonna live with it. So anyway, let's go to Comment Corner. Comment Corner. Brooklyn says, thanks for your daily recap. Brooklyn also says, Victor will do anything to keep Nick from Sharon. Oh, from Sally. That's right. I have said that Sally will ask Adam to work with her. She just might. But Victor, the way he left, he was starting to think, okay, what bottom low level position can I give my son? Right? Because he loves Adam. And look, I ain't mad at Victor. I'm not mad at Victor for loving his own child. Okay. So Victor Newman has done much worse than that. Let's see. Sherry says, when Adam said his son has become the role model for him, it made me think he was having a light bulb moment. Nah, Adam's plotting and scheming. That's what's happening with him. LaShunta says Sharon offered Nick a job. Sally's jealous. Now Sally was just telling him to quit Newman. I wish she asked Adam. That family is toxic. Adam, do right. And then LaShunta also says, Kyle's got a lot of nerve. Tracy and Ashley won't go for Jack firing Billy. Kyle's a jerk. He's been one since he broke up with Summer, coming from someone who he can't trust. Exactly, Jack. Of course, Diane would be for it, meaning for him firing Billy, Kyle getting the job. Adam has got a plan. What is it? Since when did Adam ever care what Nick thinks? Have a seat, Nick. Victor gave Sharon her company back. He knows it was wrong. Nick must go through Victor to get to Sharon. Let's see. Wait a minute. Nick must go through Victor to Victor about Sharon. Oh, he must have gotten through to Victor about Sharon saving his granddaughter. He said, she saved your granddaughter's life. Yeah, that did mean something, Victor. Why Victor let Nikki and Vicky in his ear about his son? Victor always takes things from Adam. Yes, he does. And that's it for Comment Corner. Comment Corner. I will be back tomorrow for another daily recap of The Young and the Restless.